Hey there, everyone. My name is Avra Robinson, and I'm an instructor with EdTechTeacher. Excited to be here today chatting about the Innovation Connection. So we have this awesome conference coming up on November 1st. I'm so excited to get back face-to-face with people again. And I am joined by Suzy Brooks. I'm going to let Suzy introduce herself and tell us a little bit about not only herself, but about the session that she's planning on facilitating on November 1st. So hi, Suzy. Thanks for being here. Welcome.
Oh, thanks so much, Amber. I'm so excited to be able to chat and then also to be able to see people in person at a conference. I'm really excited. So I live and work on Cape Cod. I am the Instructional Technology Director here in Mashpee, Massachusetts. We're a small district of about 1,500 people or 1,500 students. We're one-to-one Chromebooks from kindergarten to grade 12. We are very fortunate. We've always been very well provisioned, very well positioned to be able to help our students, and our teachers do amazing things. I'm also the author of Modern Mentor, which came out right before COVID did, and I am the past president of the Massachusetts ASCD affiliate. So I get to fill all kinds of roles, and I love being able to connect with folks at conferences. So when this opportunity came up, I really had to rack my brain, like, what should I do? This isn't going to be virtual. What's the big deal about being back together? If it, like, how can I make it worth being back together? Besides the fact that you're going to see people and that, inhuman or human energy that you get, what could I do in a session that would make it worth being there in person instead of just dialing in on Zoom? So that's kind of what I had to come up with as I started thinking about this session.
Yeah, well, I think it's awesome. So the actual title is Let's Dig Deeper and Ditch the Dinosaurs. So that immediately caught my eye, and I was excited to kind of discover more about what you're thinking.
And so I was thinking that there are a lot of ideas that have been around in education for a long time. And that now that COVID is still lingering and definitely has not left us, and I mostly mean the pandemic, it's a real opportunity to kind of look back and think about what do we not need to do anymore? What's not effective? What's not an effective use of our time? What's not great for reaching students? What is it that we can ditch that just doesn't work anymore? Because COVID is a great time to do that. I keep thinking about even just in my personal life, for instance, we have been shopping for cars recently and we only have the weekends to look. So now we know we have to go only on Saturdays because every car dealership is closed on Sunday. Now we're not at the dealership banging on the door on Sundays. We were like, all right, because of COVID, they're closed on Sundays now. It's something that we've just kind of accepted. And so I think that there are things that can kind of slide the way of the dinosaurs during this period of time where it won't be questioned as much as it would be 3 years ago or maybe even a year from now. So I feel like the striking while the iron is hot makes sense. Are there things that you've kind of changed the way you do them that you've either ditched or don't do anymore because of COVID?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, like talking about personal life stuff, I just think about grocery shopping. I was never a huge fan of grocery shopping anyway, but now to just do, curbside pickup, let someone else schlep through the store and pick out my groceries for me. I find I spend less money because those impulse buys are just not possible. And also, as I'm adding it up online, I'm watching the total go up. So it works out well for me budget wise too, but I think you're right. And I think, conversely, when we think about education, there's stuff too that teachers maybe have discovered that could come into the classroom as well, besides the stuff to like ditch, I think about just even the use of audio and video and having teachers like record themselves, even just in short snippets, with instructions and posting that into an LMS or something like that, was something that was necessary during COVID, but now could just be like this wonderful support and accommodation. So I think you're really onto something here, Suzy. I'm excited to hear more about what you think you'll do during your session.
What I think is awesome too is that our teachers' technology skills have just skyrocketed, mostly out of necessity. But necessity is the mother of invention. So their creativity now can also, you're right, can kind of spark new ideas And for those who never really used that spin the classroom model where they're creating instructional videos for their students to watch either before or during or again or after, if they're remote, if they're absent, if they need review, if they didn't buy into that or they didn't have the opportunity to try it before COVID, they'll soon learn that even when their students are right there with them, it's like having an extra teacher in the room, and it's a teacher that you love because it's you. So I agree that having them kind of tap into those skills that they learned, those strategies that they had to use to meet the needs of their learners during this pandemic, is going to be an opportunity for them to use moving forward. But there's not enough time to do all of it. So you kind of have to get rid of some stuff. You can't put new stuff in the basement till you get rid of old stuff. So you kind of have to figure out what could go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my theme is going to be crush it or flush it, looking at your practice, being reflective, thinking about what you do during all different times of the day, whether it's with students, without students, your prep time, your time at home, which we're really working hard to carve out that personal time for self-care. Like, are you doing what's efficient? Are you crushing it in what you're doing, or learning to crush it? Because we're not experts at everything, but are you learning to do things better, more efficiently, more effectively, so that you can then think of the things that you can flush away? So I've been reaching out to a lot of friends, a lot of my network, to see what some of their opinions are. I mean, I have some of my own, but it's going to be quite the list of ideas. So what I'm hoping is that we'll get a chance to kind of hash through a list of things that maybe should go by the wayside or be totally redefined in a new way that is more, that's better for student learning and better for teaching, and maybe have conversations around it. I'm going to want people up and about. I want them talking to each other. I don't want us sitting all in the same direction like we would be sitting and looking at a screen. I want some healthy discourse, because let's say I were to bring up this topic of spelling tests. Now, I have really strong feelings about it, and I imagine others do too, and maybe we don't agree on that. But maybe having a talk about what spelling tests should look like, or what is it about a spelling test that some of us despise and want to get rid of, but others are like, no, this is a necessity. Finding that line where you can come together and be like, oh yeah, so from now on, maybe we could do it this way. And we don't do it that way anymore because COVID. So you can blame everything on COVID that you decide to put behind you. That's kind of the premise of what I'm doing. And I'm working on a little competitive element, being a little creative that way, because I think it makes it more fun. And again, wanting people to get up and move around and interact, maybe push you a little bit out of your comfort zone, because I'll be out of mine, so you can join me.
I think it sounds like an awfully fun, interactive session, Suzy. I'm excited because I think that we've all been in like high gear for so long, and self-care has been going by the wayside, especially teachers. I've been working with teachers all over the country for, the last year and a half, and they're exhausted, deeply exhausted. And I'm not sure that they have the time, or that they're taking the time to do this kind of reflection. So this, hour-long session sounds like a perfect opportunity to give people that time to reflect, and then time to kind of verbally process. I don't know about you, maybe it's the teacher in me, but when I get a new idea, I want to bounce it off someone. I want to talk to someone. So your idea of like this discourse going back and forth and just, maybe debating lightly, but just sharing ideas. Hey, this is something that's working really well. Here's something I'm thinking about moving forward. It'll be a really nice chance for people to do that. So I'm excited. That's awesome.
Yeah. And even if you walk away not changing anything, just having that opportunity to consider it. And maybe it'll be a month from now that when something rings in the back of your head, like, oh, we talked about that. We were talking about, even one of the groups that I'm in, that I shared out this question, what would you flush? The topic of clip charts came up. And there are those that are talking about their districts require them, and those that their districts don't allow them. And so there's so many varying opinions on that. And chances are you're working in a district that you don't agree with too. So just to have those conversations, like, are they effective? Is it, making learning more engaging? Is it inspiring students to want to learn? Because you really have to have that in order to reach them. In order to teach them, you have to be able to reach them. And so looking at these practices, I think, will be beneficial.
Yeah.
For those. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're really onto something. I mean, I think a lot of businesses in general, if we look at education as a business, which it's not, but it's in and of itself, it's an industry. And
Hmm.
I think a lot of industry and a lot of business is reevaluating right now. And so you're suggesting that we do the same thing. Like, let's take a look at this moving forward. I think there's a lot of folks that used to fly weekly somewhere, to go to work, and now they're just doing it on Zoom, and their company is saving thousands of dollars,
Hmm.
not doing that actual commute and just doing the virtual one instead. So
You're right.
this is similar, and it's
It
a
is.
chance to learn and grow, and maybe find some of the silver linings from the, awful year and a half that we've been living through, right? There's got to be some good that's come out of it. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of conversations end up, taking place, and the ideas that are shared. That's fantastic.
I can't wait to tune into them. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, you know what, Suzy, I know that you're at school right now, and I appreciate so much you taking the time to talk with me today. We were just kind of hoping to give people a sneak peek into what November 1st is going to look like. So thanks for joining me. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to share before we end?
Oh, you're so welcome. First of all, I love being able to make time and chat, and it gets me excited for what's coming up. I can't wait to see you and all the other folks at EdTechTeacher. And yeah, come with some ideas, come with an open mind, and come ready to stand up.
That sounds perfect. It sounds great. People will need that, and it'll be an enjoyable time. So again, thank you so much for joining me. And everybody, I hope that you'll join us on November 1st at the Innovation Connection. It's going to be a fun and exciting day, and also kind of laid back. We're definitely building in time for people to chat, because it's our first chance to be back in person after a long time. So looking forward to seeing all of you who join us. Thank you again, Suzy, for joining me today. And everybody, have a great day.